Hello, friends. My grandson Andrew and I have been camping and later Airbnb-ing our way across Canada and the western states of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. We visited Glacier National Park, Yellowstone, and we saw Old Faithful Geyser. This is a series that we're calling Gene and Andrew's Great Adventure. We've had some great experiences and we've had some dismal failures. If you're not up to date on our adventures, go back and catch up after you watch today's episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and share. We appreciate it very much. Our time in Jackson Hole is sadly coming to an end. We'll head by the Tetons and take our last look at those beautiful mountains. Then we're going to cross the Continental Divide, head through Shoshone National Forest, and we're going to stop to look at some of the tons of military vehicles outside the National Museum of Military Vehicles. Should be an interesting day, and we're glad you're in the car with us today. Before going too far, we stopped in the small community of Wilson, Wyoming to get my morning cup of coffee. Wilson is a nice community of about 1,600 residents. It's just northwest of Jackson, and according to the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, this community holds the distinction of being ranked number 1 in the U.S. in adjusted average gross income. Translation: I'll add it to my list of places that I will never be able to afford living in. I can't leave this part of Wyoming without showing you one more look at the Snake River and one more look at the Tetons. I first saw the Tetons, I guess it was in 1979 on a road trip with my older brother. And once you've ever seen them in person, not just talking about in a book or on a movie or something like that, but once you've ever seen them in person, they capture you. They forever whisper, "Come back, see us again." Saw them again, I believe it was in 2006. And here we are again, looking at this beautiful, beautiful scenery. Where we stand now is one of the most geographically significant lines in North America, the Great Divide, sometimes called the Continental Divide. This line of high terrain at the crest of the continent forms the boundary between two great continental watersheds. If we face east from this point, all the land we see drains toward rivers that coalesce and empty into the Atlantic Ocean at the Gulf of Mexico. If we face west, we'll survey lands that drain toward the Pacific Ocean. Just riding down the highway, we see this military museum off to the side and a ton of tanks around here. And we're running, it's a long day, riding all the way to Gillette. So we don't have time to go inside, but we have time to walk around the parking lot and get a couple of pictures of some tanks. And you're welcome. The outskirts of the museum are some of the vehicles that evidently have not been restored, or they had plenty of them already just like it restored and inside the museum. But still kind of cool to look at from out here. Prairie dogs, of course, rule the landscape. Inside the museum, probably very cool. $23 for admission, and we just didn't feel like we could do that. And plus, we figured to be completely fair, we'd have to give it a couple of hours to tour, and we don't have that much time. So many cool old military vehicles, and I'm sure they each have some amazing stories they could tell. If you served in the United States military, first of all, thank you for your service. If you recognize one of the vehicles that are of the same type you used, drop your rank and branch of service in the comments and identify that vehicle for us. We would appreciate that. Friends, thank you for joining us on another few miles of our adventure. Andrew and I are headed to lodge in Gillette, Wyoming for tonight, and we look forward to showing you in the next episode what we saw. We hope that you have an awesome week.